And we are back.
Yes.
Hopefully you missed us. Hopefully you're looking forward to seeing us every single Thursday of the week. And who are we? The one and only Mr.
and Mrs.
Smith, the debt-free couple.
Yes.
Hopefully you've been paying attention, and it's instrumental what I just said when I said the debt-free couple, because that kind of gives you a foreshadowing or a heads up of what to expect from this particular video. But you know what you're tuned into. You know we're coming live from the den, and you're tuned into We Are Royalty. Now, when we say we are royalty, we're not excluding you. We're not just talking about the Mr. and the Mrs. Smith. We're also talking about you. You got to understand that you are also royalty. But if we don't tell you over and over again, then you probably won't ever believe it. So hopefully it serves as a reminder that you see the king within yourself, the queen within yourself, and you start walking on the path of being royal. You see, we got to understand that royalty starts with having a good, strong, solid foundation. And from our perspective, we want to get you a good, solid financial foundation, because that's how you can build a strong home on a solid financial foundation. So understand that we are royalty, but we're also saying that you are royalty. So welcome home. We just want to give you some good things to abide by, and hopefully it's something you can take away from it and start applying it.
So we don't know if you guys saw our announcement yesterday. I think I did the announcement yesterday that we are 100% debt free. Okay, that is for the second time. So story coming soon on that and what happened and why the heck we did it again. But we are debt free, but it's bigger than us, right? And that's what we say all the time. It's not just about us. We can talk about us being out of debt and investing and saving and being self-employed all day long, but it's what we are doing for other people that is the most important to us. Absolutely. So you think it's something for us to be debt free? Wait till you see how we are helping people all over the nation. All right. Because that is our mission. We need to all be on the same page. We need to get finances out of the way, get this debt eliminated. We need money. We need to leave an inheritance, right? Absolutely. And we need to start building assets for future generations. And one of the biggest ways that people are in bondage right now is debt. It's due to debt, okay? Every time you turn around. And it's getting to the point where some people look at debt as status. Oh, I can get approved for a car for this many thousands. Yeah, but it's not your money. Right. Same thing with a car. Yeah, you can be approved for a top-notch brand car, but you're making payments on it. Right? Absolutely. Anybody can make payments on it. So that's what we really want to talk about today, is getting out of debt. Most people feel like, you have a few different mindsets. You have the person who says, I'll never get out of debt. It'll just, it won't die. And they don't care about that debt rolling over to the next generation, because I don't think a lot of people realize that debt can roll over to the next generation. Like, the people that you're leaving behind are responsible at that point for your debt when you die. A lot of people, honestly, I didn't know that up until I really got to learning this finance game. So you have the people who say, well, I'll never get out of debt. It is what it is. You have that person who says, I really, really, really want to get out of debt. I just don't know where to start. I just need a game plan. And then you have that person who 100% believes that they will become debt free and they will do whatever it takes to get out of debt. Okay. So 3 different mentalities. Trust me, we hear them all. So let's start. Let's hopefully we're talking to the latter two. Right. Okay. Right. The person who really wants it and just don't know where to start, and the person who 100% believes it over. There's some little things, some little mental notes, some things that you should kind of ask yourself as it pertains to getting out of debt. Okay, ask yourself as well as write down. You can keep a journal, whatever it is. Now, first of all, let's talk about what debt is. And it says that debt is a major obstacle that stands in the way of financial freedom. Okay. Now, look, we have a lot of.
To acknowledge the fact that it's a problem, then that means that a solution is already in place. You see, once you stamp the fact that the problem exists, then the solution is already en route to you. But you must first admit, okay, we have a problem. Now let's work on solutions. You know, we like to focus on the solutions. And this is what you got to understand. When they say financial freedom, that's proof that debt is a form of bondage. Debt is a form of slavery, because if financial freedom means liberty, then debt has to mean bondage. So you got to get that out of the way, and it all starts with acknowledging it. And once you acknowledge it and start working towards the solutions and not even focusing on the problem anymore once it's been addressed, now you get closer and closer towards that liberty, closer and closer towards that freedom.
Yes. And you guys, it all starts in the mind. No matter what it is that you want to do, everything starts in the mind. So you have to understand it. You have to speak that to yourself. Get up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, look, you will be debt free. You are already debt free. You just haven't quite found your game plan yet.
I love
but
it.
You're there. Okay. So you have to speak those things. Another thing is you do need to make a promise or a commitment to yourself to get out of debt.
Yes.
And this is one that we see over and over and over again. Okay. Because, you know, I told you there's those 3 types of people, and that second person that I talked about, or maybe even that first person that I talked about, that I said they really want to get out of debt. They know that they can get out of debt, and they're willing to do whatever it takes. For whatever reason, that whatever it takes starts to dwindle. And so you guys started, you were willing to do what it took. You invested in yourself, and then you didn't even give it 30 days. Well, think about it. 30 days. Did it take you 30 days to get into debt? Of course not. That was one of those things that was just building up and building up and building up. It didn't take you one swipe to max out a credit card, right? Well, I hope not. For most people, it's not just one swipe. It's a series of swiping, because some people use their credit card as like their emergency fund, all right, which is a no-no. But you have to understand that if you get started with something, you have to be committed to the process. So I think that not only should you make a promise to yourself, you should make a promise to your family. Hey, I am going to get out of debt. Everybody need in on this. We all need to be contributing to that debt freedom, because you have to understand, like, for example, we have kids. We have twins, y'all. We find ourselves spending money on top of money on top of money for the twins. And some of the things are not necessities. It's just, oh, this is so cute. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you. You know, especially me. So you have to understand that there should be cutbacks in all areas in order for you to get out of debt. So you need to make that promise to yourself, make that promise to your family, and you need to be committed to the process.
I love it. I love it. And see, this is what you got to understand, because a lot of people drop the ball on commitment. You know,
yes.
A lot of people don't have, they got a fear. It's a level of fear that comes along with committing to something. If they feel like it's going to be a long-term process, then they automatically shy away from it, or they find a exit strategy from the beginning. You can't go into the debt elimination process with an exit strategy in mind. You have to be all in. And I like how you said that, you know, make a commitment to yourself for one, but commit to your family, especially if your family consists of people who are older, whether you have a spouse, whether you have older children. If you make that commitment to the family and you let them know, hey, look, this is going to be beneficial to us all, then everybody benefits from the sacrifice that you're making. So it's important for them to understand that, because then they may pitch in and figure out ways that they can sacrifice or bring in more revenue, more income that can go towards the debt elimination process. And once that's done, now the goal is reached a lot faster, because it's not all on you. Wealth building is a team sport.
Yes.
And it starts at home. It starts with the family. But then if you have to seek outside family, because we got a lot of business partners and colleagues and people who we feel as though they're family, because we sought after a network of people who were on the same path as us. So if you can't find that with your own family, then you have to reach out and find people who are like family, because you are like-minded. So you got to understand that, but you got to make the commitment. And if you roll that out to your family, then hopefully that increases your commitment, because now you've made a promise to yourself, you made a promise to them, and now you're on their journey. So the commitment is the key. A lot of people drop the ball there. It's a lifelong process, so expect for it to take just as long as it took you to get into that situation. Like she said, you didn't swipe one time and then all of a sudden you were maxed out in your debt. It was a series of spending, so it has to be a series of taking your money back. So you got to do it in that order, and hopefully you can get out of that faster than you got in it. And most people do that, especially when they understand the strategies and different ways that you can do, which we'll dive into that a little bit later.
I love how you quoted me. You did so good on that. You just like repeated it word for word, exactly what I said. That's awesome. Okay, so the last thing, you guys, before we really just dive straight in, because what we're trying to do, we're just trying to get you there mentally, y'all.
Right.
You have to do these things that we're saying before you dive in, because a lot of people look at it like getting out of debt is not fun. Talking about money is not fun. But the reality is it can be fun.
True.
It's all on you and your mindset and being around a circle of people who's going to make it fun. Okay. I bust jokes all the time with my business partners. I'm like, you better bring you some sandwiches to work. You better cut back and quit all that eating out, but that's making it fun. That's making it, entertaining for some of our partners. Okay. So it can be fun. It's all on you. And the last thing is, again, regardless of what you're into, you can pray, you can meditate, you can, do yoga and think about this, whatever it is, you want to ask for wisdom on how to identify and tailor a debt-free program for you to become debt-free. And so let me take that a little bit further. Let's go. And let me just explain what that means. Sometimes it's a matter of, I heard a motivational video the other day that said all you have to do is put it out there and say what it is that you want, and some type of way the universe and all of that stuff just works, and voila, your game plan is right in front of your face. But we ignore what we just prayed for, what we just meditated on. And that makes absolutely no sense. So sometimes you just have to put it out there and, let's say you pray, just say, look, send me, show me, a debt-free program, some type of assistance for me to be able to become debt-free. And you never know what will happen within that day or within that week to get you on the right path to being debt-free. You have to speak it, basically, is what I'm saying. Yet again, everything I'm saying, speak it, think it, believe it, receive it, okay? But you have to receive it. If just because all debt-free programs are not free. Yeah, I said it. Every debt-free program is not free. Sometimes you have to pay. Why? Because you're paying for expertise. You're paying for, that guidance. If you knew how to get out of debt, if you knew how to become debt-free within a matter of, 2 to 5 years, you would have done that. You would have been there already. So just because you pray for a debt-free program or some type of guidance on becoming debt-free, just because there's an investment associated with it, that doesn't mean that that's not what you prayed for or it's not what you asked for. Okay. So you have to understand that when you say you want something, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be free. However, invest in yourself and you will find that it may be exactly what you were looking for. A lot of times it is exactly what you're looking for. It's a matter of, is this person going to take action, or are they going to continue to be chained to their debt?
I love it. You see, she said something key right from the beginning. You have to seek wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom is something that you may not personally have in this particular area. It doesn't mean that you're not wise in other areas, but as it relates to this, it's okay to need assistance, need help, need some form of wisdom, even if it requires you to make an investment. But this is what you got to understand about an investment. Investing in something means that when you put the money out there, more than what you invested comes back. So it's not a cost. A lot of times people look at something like that and they figure it's a cost or it's a bill. Not if it's bringing you back more in return. So once you seek that wisdom, after you've prayed for whatever it is that you want, you got to be in a position to be open enough to receive it, open enough to recognize it. Because a lot of times people pray for some type of blessing, the blessing shows up, and then they got to pray about the blessing that showed up. It's almost like a contradiction, because once you put it out there, it's on its way, whether you can see it or not. But it requires you to take some type of action, and sometimes that action might just be you making a decision and saying yes, you making a decision and going ahead and making that initial investment. Sometimes that's what it takes. And I promise you, a lot of times when people are hesitant about making a decision because of that fear of commitment, it goes back to that. That's really what it is. They're scared to commit, or they're scared to let themselves down. And some people are even scared of the success that may come from it. So it's a combination. But I promise you, most of the people who are hesitant on making that initial investment, once they make that initial investment, it's like a sigh of relief, because they got that part out of the way. It's like, okay, I'm in here now, and it's that sigh of relief. So you have to be receptive and open-minded enough to take that first action. And once you take that action, you'll feel that sigh of relief if you found the right plan, if the prayer that you threw out there is being answered. You have to understand all of those things. So seek the wisdom, be in position to receive the blessing that you pray for, and recognize it when it comes, and then just take the action. And after that sigh of relief will kick in, and you can start creating the testimonies and start the debt elimination process. And this goes with anything as it relates to wealth building, not just debt being eliminated. But since we're speaking on listening and thinking and having that belief and seeking wisdom, I just wanted to tie it all together.
Yes. So for those just now hopping on, let me give you a quick recap before we move on. Number one, these are just things that you need to do to prepare yourself for becoming debt free. Okay. Number one was you have to determine that there is a problem. Okay. If you look at your debt as a problem, you need to be on the prowl for a solution.
Right.
Okay. Number two was build a mental picture of yourself out of debt.
That's big.
And then going alongside that was number three, which is making a promise or a commitment to get out of debt. Not just to yourself, a promise to your family, you guys. A commitment, meaning you're going to give it longer than 30 days, longer than 60 days. Here's the thing.
Right.
If you are not debt free, why quit? You have to be committed to the process. Then we have number four, where you have to begin to prepare yourself to become debt free. Start preparing. Look at your situation. See what you can maneuver. See if more cash flow is needed, which 9 times out of 10 it is, right, babe?
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10 more cash flow is needed, just period, point blank, because so many people live above their means. We'll get into that in a minute. And then we have number 5, where you need to seek, pray, meditate for wisdom on how to tailor a debt-free plan for you, how to find a debt-free plan and become debt-free. Okay, so those were the 5 things to start preparing yourself. Anything you want to add?
No, she just caught you up to speed. So you got to understand, this is all about you breaking those shackles, getting out of that bondage. Like we said earlier, the borrower is slave to the lender. So let's not be slave to the debt. You see, we were supposed to be the lenders, not the borrowers. We supposed to have an abundance of wealth and money that we're in a position to do the lending, to make the loans, to make the deals, not have our hands out asking, can we borrow something, and end up paying it back at a higher cost than what it was that we borrowed. So you got to understand that what you borrow, you must pay back. And if you pay it back, you're paying it back with interest. So if you borrowed 1,000, you might pay back 2,000, but that's a whole nother video. So I don't want to jump ahead. We just, I just wanted to kind of bring it full circle so they can understand the mindset and what we're dealing with.
Yes, most definitely. Another thing, you guys, if you have any questions as we go, through this flow, feel free to put them in the comments. Absolutely. Now, me personally, my phone is dead, but I'm just going to say, if you have any questions, put them out there and hopefully we can answer them on this live feed. Another thing, let's take a second to just share this video. We want you to invite, we all have friends, family members who want to become debt free. We hope, right?
Right.
invite those people, you guys. You can't keep us to yourself, okay? We're giving you all of this free knowledge week after week. We need you to invite and we need you to share, okay? That's the only way we are going to educate the masses. Each one, teach one. Awesome. We need you sharing. Also, a lot of us, we try to find Facebook groups. Like we were in this parenting class yesterday, and one of the ladies said, "Oh, I'm in like this debt-free community," because she saw my button that says debt free is the new sexy. And she was saying, "Oh, I'm in this community. You know, it's a bunch of us just trying to figure it out. We are just trying to figure out how to get out of debt." So do us a favor. Also, if you are in any of those type of groups, share this video in that group.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is the only way that we are going to spread the knowledge, spread the love, and educate the masses. Okay. So share, invite, send us some thumbs and some hearts too. Quit playing.
Thumbs and hearts across the screen. See,
let's get it.
You got to understand, when you share, it's automatically putting some good energy out into the universe. So that being said, you'll receive it. So it's just, good karma that you're putting out there. So share it, tag, invite, do whatever you have to do in order to let people know that you're feeding your mind. This is mental nourishment, and once you feed your mind, that's all about applying. And now you're changing the dynamics of the circle of people that are around you. You want to change the people that are around you in a way that when you're around them, they understand your journey, they understand the sacrifices that you're making, and not being as though they're looking at you some type of way because you're cutting back or you're budgeting or you're making certain decisions that allow you to keep more of your hard-earned money. So it's all about sharing it with those people that you're already connected to, so they understand the mission that you're on, the journey that you're on, and that's how it goes. So you want to dive into the breakdown of how it all works for the most part, so they can have something applicable, or at least a insight of the process if they don't already know.
All right. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get into it. You guys, we have some things that we wanted to just, go over with you. Hopefully everyone on this feed is taking notes. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. All right. We want to get those likes, get those shares, and we want to educate as many people as possible. One of the things, that we are stern with is we offer a financial success membership. Okay. In that financial success membership, we have a detailed game plan on how to get out of debt, how to increase your cash flow, how to, we talked about credit, one of the previous weeks, how to get that credit score up, right? We talked about investments. We talked about assets, and all of this is packaged into a membership. Basically the overall goal for everybody is to become financially free. So this is just a little snippet. Of course, we're not giving it all away to you for free. We're giving you some free knowledge for you to move, but at the same time, just know that we do have a membership where you can have literally a site. You can plug in some numbers. You can do everything digitally, and you can print it off, and it's just insane. All right. So let's get it started. One of the things that we always tell people to do is you need to have a clear understanding of what your top financial goals are.
Yes.
Okay. What are the top 5 financial goals that you have for yourself and for your family? For a lot of people, it is get out of debt. And we can change this question to your New Year's resolutions, right? Because at the beginning of every single year, you hear, "Oh, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to pay on my credit card. I'm going to, save. I'm going to take trips this year." Whatever your top 5 financial goals are, you need to identify those things. Is it increasing your income? Bringing in more income than you did the previous year? Is it reducing your taxes? Buying a new home? That's a big one for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Or making another major purchase like a car, furniture, boat. Paying off all of your debt. Excluding your mortgage. Saving for college education. Building your retirement. Taking a trip. Okay. Whatever your top 5 financial goals are, you need to write those things down in the order of importance. You want to add anything to that?
Basically, it's just a matter of you making that plan, believing that it can happen first and foremost, and starting off with whatever your initial goal is. In this example, we're starting off with debt. That's most people, main goal. They just want to get out of debt. So you can take us away.
All right. So one of the next things that we like to go over, you guys, even though debt is important, it most definitely is. You also need to start thinking about your retirement. True. Because so many people don't think about their future. I don't care how old or how young you are. You should always be preparing. You should always be preparing for that retirement. Okay. It is so important. So some of the things that you can just kind of ask yourself, or you can make a mental note of, is what is the least amount of monthly income that you desire at retirement? Why is this important? This is important because when you retire, and we talked about this once before, think about the income that you're getting right now. Okay? Think about how you're living. Are you living check to check? Are you not living check to check? You got a little bit left over, but you hope too big of an emergency don't happen. What is your current situation? And then I want you to think about when you retire. And for some people, that may be 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. But if you think about retirement, if you are barely making ends meet on what you're currently making, think about if you rely on Social Security, how that's going to change your situation. Because guess what? Bills don't stop. Bills will not stop. They will continue even after retirement. If you're barely making it on the income that you're making right now, and you're not doing something to increase your cash flow, guess what? The struggle is really going to be real when you retire. Okay? So you need to think about how much monthly income you desire at retirement. What's the least amount of money you want to make right now? How about you start getting that? Because your job may be yielding you about what? $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 a month. But if that's not enough for you, if you notice you have zero to, a small amount of money left after you pay all of your bills, how much more money will just make you happy and make you comfortable? And work towards that now, not after you retire.
I love it. Okay. See, once you understand that, now you got a segue. You know where you're going. You see, it's about eliminating debt, but at least you got an end goal in mind as well. So as you start the process of getting out of debt, you already know, okay, this is pushing me to having a better retirement. And when we say retirement, don't automatically think that you have to be, a certain age. You can retire when you deem necessary. The sooner you start implementing the stuff that we're teaching, the sooner you can retire. So if you're in your 20s and you want to retire by the age of 40 or 30s or whatever the case may be, you can do that, but you must get this ball rolling some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yes, most definitely. All right. Another thing, I'm just going to kind of rush through the retirement a little bit.
Okay.
Even though retirement is really important, you guys, you have to understand what we're doing here. I know we started talking about debt. Now we're talking about retirement, and some people may be wondering how the two go together. Well, think about it. If you're thinking about retirement, if you're preparing for retirement, but you got all this debt, and again, when you get Social Security, you're only getting partial the amount of money that you're making right now, that's bad for business. Okay? That's bad. So you need to make sure, in order for you to prepare for retirement, you need an understanding of where you are financially, and you need to know what you want as it pertains to retirement. Why? Because you can start working on those things right now. Mm-hmm. Another thing, what year at the latest do you plan on retirement? A lot of people think that retirement is based on age, and they look at what they're currently making. They look at their current situation, and they say, oh, retirement age is set at what, 65, 70?
Yeah.
I think they're raising it to like 72 or something like that. And a lot of people say, oh, I got a long ways to go. Well, here's the thing. You can retire when you want to retire, if you are in a good place financially. Okay? So retirement is not about age. Retirement is based on money.
And see, this is what you got to understand. The last thing you want to be doing with your retirement is paying off debt that you accumulated during your working years. See, that's the importance of retirement. See, we're putting you in a position mentally first, and then physically you'll make that happen. So financially you're in a whole better place. But the last thing you want to be doing is paying off debt with money that you are living off of during your retirement. Imagine that. You retire, you've been working all your life, and now you're paying on expenses or bills that you accumulated during your working years. You got to understand that. So that's why we're tying it all in together. That's why it goes hand in hand. And once you start the debt elimination process, you'll build up enough momentum that'll take you into working on your retirement versus waiting until you retire. And now you're paying down debts with retirement money, Social Security money, pension money, 401k money. That's the last thing you want to be doing with your money. So I hope that makes sense as we dive through.
All right. Awesome. So here's another thing. How much of your monthly retirement income do you expect to receive from Social Security and any type of company paid pensions? Okay. Because you need to know where your money going to be coming from.
True.
I'm telling you guys, don't listen to us. Every single thing that we say, go research it. All you have to do is research it. We see some of the craziest situations. People telling us that Social Security, they're only getting about $1,000 a month. When on their job, they were making, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month. Think about what you're going to do with $1,000 a month. And that's just an example. Okay. Research Social Security. You have to start planning where you're going to be getting more income. Another thing, what is the approximate value of your investment portfolio right now? How much money are you investing? Are you investing anything? Do you have anything working for you opposed to you working for your money? Or are you only working a job to pay bills and not putting anything away for your future? Okay. Another thing that you should ask yourself, how much money do you invest into your long-term savings? Okay. Again, this is retirement. You have to think futuristically. How much additional money can you put into your long-term savings? And then here's another question that we talked about once before. How much money do you have set aside for emergencies? Because there's a lot of things, you guys, that you need to get in order before you really go in on this debt. It's a lot of things that you need to do. So an emergency fund is definitely one of them. And then another thing is just, do you feel like you have a plan in place to retire when you want to with the amount of money that you want to have? Do you have that in place? Okay. So now let's talk about the debt elimination. Okay. Going straight in on the plan.
Let's do it.
One of the things that you need to do is you need to make a list of all of your debt, everybody that you owe. You need to have a running list, okay, of, let's say, your credit card, your car note, your mortgage, everybody that you owe. You need a list. To the right of that list, you need the balance owed to each one of those creditors. You need to know exactly what you owe. And then you also need to know your minimum payment to each one of those companies.
I love it. See, this is what you got to understand about everything that she said. You're pretty much jotting down all of, for the sake of this example, your enemies. All of the people that are keeping your finances in bondage, all of the people that your money is a slave to. So it ought to make you mad. It ought to stir you up to see how many people are in the line that you owe. And now they're your targets. Now they are the people that you have to snipe and get out of your way so you can free up your cash flow. And by knowing those minimum payments, now you know, okay, this is the least amount I have to pay each of them. So as you take a cold hard look at your finances, you know what you need to pay to them minimally. And then when we show you, or once you understand how to increase your cash flow, how much additionally you can be paying to knock it out a lot faster. You see, we're not taking you on the slow route to debt elimination. It's all about really speeding up the process. It's all about amplifying it. But that doesn't happen until you line up who is your enemy, who is your financial enemies. All of these creditors, all of these, debt collectors, bill collectors, whoever it is that you owe, line them up. Find out the minimum and let's snipe them one by one.
Yes, most definitely. It's such a good feeling, you guys, to be able to pay off your debt at a faster rate. So many people have student loans. We work with people all over the U.S., so we hear a lot of different situations. We've heard enormous amounts of debts. And we've heard, few $1,000s of debt that people still just don't know how to eliminate. Yeah. So you need to know exactly what you owe before you can come up with a game plan to pay those things off. Another thing that's really, really important is you need to make a list of all of your expenses, your recurring monthly expenses. Okay. This is things like, your cell phone, your utilities, your cable, your rent. Okay. If you have rent, that's a recurring monthly expense, opposed to a mortgage, which is more so will go under the debt category. Okay. So people need to understand the difference between the two. Mm-hmm. If you're eating out regularly, monthly, put that in there. This is a big area for a lot of people because they just swipe, and they don't even realize where their money is going at all. They can't tell you exactly where the money is going. So you need to make a running list. Even if you have to pull bank statements, you need to know exactly where your money is going. You want to add to that?
Back to lining up those enemies.
Yes.
Back to lining up those vices that you might have. Because now when you line up those recurring expenses, you may look at some of them and realize, hold on, I can do away with some of these items. I can do away with, or have less of these items, which will minimize the amount you have to pay to them. Now you're thinking on the level of increasing your cash flow. You see, a lot of things don't happen until you have more cash flow. You see, you're barely getting by, or some people are just getting by off of the amount that they have. So they really don't want to pull from another pot in order to get out of debt. But that's what's required. When you line up those expenses that you currently have and see if you can cut some of those bills in half, shave off 25% of some of those expenses. And now you're taking that additional and paying it towards the debt. So it's the same money that you had coming into your household. You just shifted it from one place to another. And that's what sped up or started that compounding of the debt elimination. See, when you start compounding your debt, that's when you start going into a whole nother speed and kicking it into high gear so you can knock it out a lot faster. So pay attention, line up those expenses and snipe them one by one or minimize them one by one, because that's what goes into that snowball effect or the compounding of that debt elimination. I don't want to get too far ahead because that's really a segue into, how it all plays out. But I just wanted to give you a preface.
Yes. So you guys, alongside listing all of your monthly expenses, you need to list how much you're paying every month, right?
Nice.
Because it's really important. You need to know where your money is coming from. And a lot of y'all hear me joke about this a lot, and I'm going to say it again. When we really sat down and we started going through all of our expenses and where our money was going, this was before the twins. We ate a lot. Yes. Okay. Especially like when you're in that cute little dating phase and all you want to do is eat and go out to eat and try every new restaurant. That was us. And here's the thing. I also like to cook. So here we are, just greedy, y'all. Eating. I might cook breakfast or lunch or both. And then we go out to eat for dinner. So we're just eating away all our income.
Right. Literally, those vices, those enemies. And sometimes it may be you that's the root cause. But if you never lay it out and see where you are after you've admitted that there's a problem, now you're lining up those problems and now you can come up with some solutions once you know. So,
yes. And so alongside putting all of your expenses, how much you're paying every single month, you need to see that's your aha moment. That's your reality check right there. That's when you say, I cannot believe I spent $500 last month on just food. Okay. That's where you can say, you know what? I'm barely at home. I don't need this anyway because everybody I'm looking at on the TV is already rich and I'm not. Let me cut this cable. Okay. So this is where your reality should set in when you're making a list of everything that you spend monthly. Can you cut back anything? Can you call some companies and can you see if you can get things lowered, like a cell phone bill? That's a big one because we use our cell phones for literally everything. We can watch TV on our cell phones. Think about that. So it's so much that we can do. See if you can either cut your cell phone bill or see if you can cut something else off that you can do on your cell phone. Okay. A lot of times all you might need is internet. Is that Wi-Fi at home? Okay. So there's a lot of different things that you should be looking at to see where you can cut monthly. So a lot of people look at this as budgeting, right? We don't really like to say budgeting. And some people feel like they can just budget their way to wealth. And we honestly, we don't feel like that, because at the end of the day, you still, and the reason why I say that is this. If you're looking at all of your income that you have coming in, you have a list of all of your expenses, right? Your monthly recurring expenses. And then you're looking at this list of all of the debt that you have. The only thing that you can really maneuver in that situation is your recurring expenses. Okay. Yeah, you can spend more time at work. You can work overtime, right? People like to work themselves raggedy, but being at work more, sometimes you might spend more, because you might say, oh, I'm so tired from work, let me just grab something to eat. Okay, let me grab some fast food instead of coming home and cooking. So you can only do so much budgeting. You can only do so much cutting back. Some people might look at all of their expenses, and because they've been struggling for so long, they already have them down to the minimum. They can't maneuver anything else, but still, outside of paying all of their bills on time, they don't really have anything left over. They're not saving anything. They don't have anything set aside for any type of emergencies or any type of, leisure at all. So sometimes reality needs to set in that I just need more income coming from somewhere. You want to take that?
Good point. And that's what I was hoping she was getting at, because a lot of times you got to have that reality check where you look yourself in the mirror and you realize, okay, I'm in a situation to where I have more debt than I have income. So my income is not positioning me to get out of debt and free myself of that bondage. What can I do? And a lot of people shy away from making more income, when in all actuality, that's what you have to do. You really are limited to the choices, because it's only so much of the other stuff that you can do, because it's all about increasing your cash flow. You're increasing your cash flow when you minimize your expenses, and you'll ultimately increase your cash flow when you start eliminating that debt. But if you really want to get the ball rolling, you might have to take a look back and see what additional income you can bring into the household, because additional income into the household equals more money that you have to dump onto that debt. See, it starts that snowball effect, and that's when you have some momentum in your finances. They say an object in motion stays in motion until acted on by an outside force. So if you had that momentum going from the debt that you eliminated, then you start to minimize those expenses and put a little extra money on that debt. Then you say, hey, I'm gonna start selling some product, or doing some things to bring in more cash. Now you have even more momentum, so you're dumping it on that debt. So that object in motion, which is you knocking out your debt and increasing your cash flow along the journey, is a force to be reckoned with, and it cannot be stopped until acted on by an outside force. And many times that outside force is you. Yep. Many times it's you and your lack of commitment that stops you or prevents you from seeing what it feels like to complete the process. So don't be in your own way. Don't be the outside force that acts on your finances and hinders it from growing to the levels that it can grow. Because the debt elimination is one part of it, but now once you keep that momentum going, it starts to create a big snowball that's big, and now that's your finances going the opposite direction. So instead of you being thousands of dollars in debt, now you're thousands of dollars in savings and investments, and that has no choice but to grow. And just like your debt can be passed down, so can the wealth that you create from the momentum that you create through the debt elimination process. So you got to understand that.
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to add when we talked about, sometimes you just have to realize that you need to make some more money. People will work 2, 3, even 4 jobs. And we did a video a while back. Maybe I need to share it to the page again, called 2 Jobs Are for 2 People. Right. I mean, you're looking at 2 people who we are strictly against you having more than one job. Okay. And for a lot of different reasons. So when we talk about you making more income, we're talking about income that's not going to be taxed the same as on your job. 100%. Okay. We're talking about something that you are passionate about, something that you love, something that will benefit other people greatly. Okay. So we're not talking about just going out, getting another job or working all of this overtime, because guess what? The more you make on a W-2, the more you're taxed. Then you have to look at, the commute from one job to another job and back home and all of that crazy stuff. Sometimes it's not even beneficial for you to have more than one job. You end up hurting yourself more than you help yourself. And we even touched on this on the W-4, the new W-4 form. There is a worksheet for someone with 2 jobs. And guess what? Even on that W-4, if you just go through the form, they're telling you how it can hurt you to have multiple jobs. Now, what is ideal, and one of the things that can really help you to, have that momentum in your finances, is having a job and having you a part-time business. Think about it. If this is a part-time business that, again, you're passionate about, if it's going to help you with your finances and you can get paid to help other people, right? Which is what we do. We weren't completely passionate about finances at first, but we became passionate when we saw the huge difference in our finances. And that passion caused us to just want to educate people all over. And that's exactly what we're doing. That is our mission. So we just need to really just sit back and see what ways we can make additional income from home. Okay. You're saving on gas because you ain't going nowhere. You're saving on that going out to eat because you ain't going nowhere. Okay. You can do it literally from the couch. So that's what people need to be looking for. And I do see that a lot of people are hopping on that bandwagon. It's 2018, you guys. You have no excuses for only getting your income from a job. It's so many ways for you to make money. Okay. Let me get off of this and let me talk about, because I can really go in on that one. You hear so many, excuses, and for every excuse that you hear, for every person that says I can't, you got 5 other people over here saying I can and doing it and making it happen. You're saying, I'm a single mom, I'm so busy, and I can show you 10 single moms that's doing the thing. Making it happen and using their kid as their motivation. So that's where I was kind of going with that. Let me stop because I can go a little bit hard on that one. But the last thing is that snowball effect. So you've looked at all of your expenses. You've seen where you can or where you can't cut back. And if that reality sets in and you just need to make more cash flow, here's the thing, you guys. I think a lot of people associate having a business with like being filthy rich or something, because they look at it like they can't do it. And they also, you start a business and you think that you're just going to make so much money within your first 30 days or within your first 60 days, when all you might need to dig yourself out of a hole is a few more hundred every month, few more hundred every week coming in. And you can get that consistently on a business. So think about the debt snowball effect. For those who don't know what that is, how we told you to list all of your debts, your creditors, everybody that you owe, right? And list your minimum payments. Well, when you cut that, let's say you decide to just go ahead and cut off the cable. That's the only thing that you can maneuver. Everything else was down to the minimum. And let's say you were able to free up about an extra, what's cable now? I don't know.
50, 80.
Okay, let's say about an extra $80 a month you were able to free up. Well, you could take that $80, put it on top of your minimum payment for your first debt, and now think about how fast you're going to pay that off because you're paying an extra $80 a month. Now, think about if you had some more cash flow coming in from somewhere else. Let's just use the example of an extra $200 a month.
Nice.
Okay. Just an extra $200 a month plus the 80. Okay. Out for good numbers for me. 100. Let's say 220.
Okay.
Let's say you get 220 from your business coming in every single month on top of the 80 that you freed up from cutting off your cable.
Nice.
That's an extra $300 a month. Let's say you have a credit card bill of $10,000. Okay. Your minimum payment is $150 every single month on that $10,000 credit card. Plus you got your interest, right? Now you have this freed up cash flow, this $300 on top of your minimum payment of $150, now on your $10,000 credit card, you're paying $450 every single month. Think about what that's going to do for that $10,000 balance. So what I like to say is you could do this fast or you could do this slow. You can become debt free fast or you can do it slow. But the preferred method, to me, it just makes sense, is to do it fast.
Absolutely.
As fast as you possibly can. And we're paying $450 on your credit card opposed to just $150. Think about how much faster you could pay off that $10,000 balance.
Now listen, $450, you'll end up paying it off in a nice amount of time. So now it went from you paying the minimum to paying a lot more than what you were paying. And guess what? That credit card just faded away. Mm-hmm. So imagine that credit card fading away, and instead of you taking that money and buying a new car or, accumulating some more debt, you take that $450 that once was going to that credit card and you start dumping it on the next debt. So instead of you paying the minimum on that debt, you're paying an extra $450 on top of whatever that minimum was. So now that's when the snowball kicks in. And a lot of you may have heard of the snowball effect, but it's just a powerful piece to the puzzle. And we're showing people how to increase their cash flow even more, so that snowball is bigger than just, starting off with a grain of snow. You got to understand the power in increasing your cash flow in all areas. We told you about the minimizing expenses, but we also show you how to minimize those taxes. And understanding the business from a standpoint of making more money is great, but the business helps you to make more money, but you're also minimizing those taxes as well. So that's two streams of cash flow right there that now you're able to apply to that debt. So once you apply that to your debt, now you're getting out of debt on a more rapid pace. You're building that momentum. You see, because if you're not doing that, if you're not putting your money in a place to where you're creating some momentum that's working out in your favor, I promise you, the debt that you currently have is building momentum in the form of interest. And what I mean by that is, we have a video, and it's referred to it, I like to call it the credit card catastrophe, or some people call it the bloody mess. But basically it's showing you how something as small as a $5,000 credit card can take you years. You're like your sentence for life. It can take you 100 years to pay off a $5,000 credit card if you're paying the bare minimum. That's because they have the momentum working on their end. But once you flip it and you say, hold on, you know what? Let me get this momentum rolling on my end and implement the snowball strategy. Now you're shifting your income in more ways than one, and that momentum is working for you. So that snowball gets bigger and bigger, and you're knocking out debt, and they can't even stop you, or they don't even realize you're coming as fast as you're coming. And now you know that you've knocked down all of the debt, and you got more cash flow to play with. Or when I say play with, I mean invest with, so you can grow it. And now you flip things from being cash flow negative to cash flow positive on a whole nother level.
Yes. And you guys, think about that example that we just gave. So when you pay off that $10,000 credit card, right? Now you have an extra of freed up $450. Mm-hmm. But no, that's not just money for you to go blow. You're going to take that whole $450 and put it on your minimum payment for your next debt.
Yep.
Let's say your next debt is a car note that you're paying $200 a month. Well, now you're paying an extra $450. You're paying $650 on a car. Think about how fast you can get that paid off. And then again, imagine if you had a business, right? Similar to like what we do, where you're learning about finances and you're learning how to do this, but you decide you want to turn it up a notch. Yes, cool. I'm paying $450. Okay, I'm paying off the credit card, but I'm still not going to be out of debt until this time. I want to cut that in half. Imagine having a business where you can just say, you know what? Let me just turn it up a notch. Let me just make more money. Because here's the thing about a job. You can only work so much overtime. Because of labor laws, there is a cap. There's a cutoff. But when it's your business, there's no cutoff. Look at your schedule and say, let me better manage my time and let me turn it up a notch. When it's something that we want to do, we say, okay, we just got to help more people. Let's turn it up a notch and let's get some even more money flowing in. So now I can do it at a rapid pace.
Absolutely.
Okay? So imagine.
And it sounds like a status or a post I put up recently. A job tells you how much you can make, but a business tell you to make as much as you want.
Yes.
So you got to make that mindset shift. And like she said, once you're snowballing and putting those lump sums on that debt, now you look back and all of the debt is gone, and you got a freed up $1,000, $2,000 that once was going to the debt collectors or the creditors. Now it's staying in your household, but you're using it. Once we show you what it is that we teach and how to really shift that income, imagine you take that $1,000, that $2,000 and start putting it into an investment account that's yielding you 8%, 10% rates of return. That $1,000 now grows to be 2,000, which grows to be 10,000, which grows to be 50,000, which grows to be 100,000, which grows to be $250,000, 500,000, $1 million, and now you can retire. Now you're not just dependent on a job. Now you're not just dependent on Social Security, because you snowballed and built up enough momentum to wipe out your debt, simultaneously to positioning yourself to invest and grow your money in a way that allows you to retire better than the job was positioning you to do. So you got to understand, that's what they're doing when they're saving or stashing your money. They're putting it somewhere and they're earning income off of it in hopes that they can pay you during your retirement years. But when you start doing it for yourself and you've created that much momentum, now you're building wealth and you can retire when you deem necessary. Yes.
So you guys, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. That is our time. So we hope that you got a lot of value, but a couple of things that I want to add. Number one, we're going to start putting some many little commercials in on our show. So if you have a product or a service that you would like for us to promote for you, comment below. You can shoot us an inbox. You can send us an email. We'll have that in the comments, and feel free to ask us about our advertising opportunities. And then another thing that I wanted to add, if you are interested whatsoever in seeing what our financial success membership is all about, if you were that person that I talked about in the beginning, okay, because there's 3 types of people. There's that person that says, you know what, I have all of this debt, I don't see myself becoming debt free, it is what it is. You have that second person who says, I have this debt and I do believe I can get out of debt, I just don't know where to start. And then you have that person that says, I have this debt, I know I can be debt free, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. What do you need? Sign me up. I'm ready to get out of debt. Those last 2 people that I mentioned, if you are ready for your financial freedom game plan, not only getting out of debt, but getting your credit right, investing, saving, whatever it is that you want to do as it pertains to bettering your finances, reach out to us or the person who invited you to this video, right? Because they may just be a business partner of ours. See if they know what Mr. and Mrs. Smith is talking about. See if they have the plug on the financial success membership, and we will most definitely get you started. That's all I got.
I love it. I love it. As we said in the beginning, debt free is the new sexy. So if you're already on that debt elimination path, meaning that you're eliminating your debt and you're serious about it and you want some extra commitment or motivation or inspiration, then you can definitely get access to these pens. We can definitely ship them out. So let us know in the comments if you want access to these pens. Let them know. Let the world know that you are on your debt-free journey, and debt-free is the new sexy. Or if you want to get access to the pens and you want to start that debt-free journey, then do exactly what she said, because you got to understand, we live in a world where we are conditioned for failure, and oftentimes we are programmed or fooled into mediocrity. So people find themselves living like peasants instead of the royalty that they were meant to be. But you see here, we are royalty. We see that king in you. We see that queen in you from start to finish. It's just time for you to take your seat on the throne, because this is where we uplift your character, your confidence, and your cash flow. You see, as royalty, you should establish a solid financial foundation that'll soon lead to your abundance and thriving empire. Take your seat on the throne. We are royalty. Salute.